Hello. How's everyone? Don't be shy. Who's ready for some pentatonic blues scale hacks? We're going to talk about some of this particular method. I call it, I have two names for it, the diagonal method and the sliding scale for the pentatonic. Um, it's something that I guess, I'm not sure where I learned it from, but it's used quite a bit by the pros. And Fulcrum, welcome. So, from country rock to jazz to swing, you can use this technique. I have a lot of demonstrations in my soloing strategies for jazz and swing, but I'm going to cover kind of the basic concept today. So please grab the free PDFs in the description. I just added a few, so there's about 5 or 6 PDFs. Fulcrum, thanks so much. Great to hear from you. Yeah, type in the chat if anybody else is here, and appreciate you joining in today. And I know many of you are Patreon members, so thanks for being on Patreon. I'm going to get started here. I've got the sound slice I just loaded up. I just created a new little worksheet for you. So again, it's a free PDF. You don't have to join Patreon if you're not a Patreon member. You can just grab it. There's about 6 PDFs in there, or 5. I just added one, including the blues scale too. So I won't make this terribly long, but type in the comments if you're here. I'm just curious on who's joining, and hopefully a lot of Patreon members will be checking this video out, even if you can't make it live. I know it's hard to always tune into my live streams, that I hope you can check it out as a replay. So, and this came about actually from a private lesson yesterday. One of my Diamond Tier students, who has not had that experience playing a lot of rock guitar. So I thought this would be a good kind of an intro lesson on this technique, because a lot of people don't learn, well, I hope the scale, the E minor pentatonic, that's often the first scale that a lot of people learn the old school way. I mean, that's I think that was one of the first scales I learned. I have this all written out for you too, so I'll demonstrate, but in case you don't know it, so I'll walk through it. And this is, again, intended for those who have not learned it. So you got the E minor penta, and the E minor penta is, there's a formula that, first of all, the notes are E, G, A, B, D, E. It's E, G, A, B, D, and then E. And then from there, it starts all over again. E, G, A, B, D, E, and then G. This is all in one position. This is called the box position. It's all the open strings are being used here in this case too. So if you looked at it on the diagram, you would see a box kind of looking shape there. Not a true box, but pretty close to a box. So that's why it's called the box shape. The tabs for it is 0, 3. I'll go string by string in case this is new for you. And you can watch my fingering here as well. And this is now the tab without the name of the notes. 0, 2, next string 0, 2, next string 0, 2, next string 0, 3, next string 0, 3. So let's do this again together. That's the E minor pentatonic. I'm going to go string by string. 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3. That's again the tabs when I'm saying the numbers. that relates to the frets. If it's 0, that means no fret. That means open string, right? So let's do it again. 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, and 0, 3. And then, of course, we want to practice descending. 3, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0. And again, that's the E minor pentatonic. So you can think of it as the name of the notes, E, G, A, B, D, E, or you think of it as the formula. Let's talk about this. 1, if we're starting on E, E is the 1. This is, again, how a lot of jazz players think of it, as the numbers, the formulas. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 8. Okay? And of course, you want to go up all 6 strings because in this one position. So it's, again, 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 8. Flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 8. Flat 3. A lot of jazzers, this flat 3, they'll actually consider it as a sharp 9. That gets the purple haze chord. We know like this. That flat 3 can also be thought of as a sharp 9, which is very important because it could be, that's the sound of the blues. So we get that dominant sound against we get that minor sound against the dominant chord, which gives it that sharp 9 flavor. Because you have a natural 3, the major third, but you also have the sharp 9. I'll show it to you over here. A lot of people don't play the purple haze chord over here, but that's on the top 4 strings. Yes. Of course, it could be over here. Most people know it like this. It could even be over here like this. So it's good to know that purple haze chord in those different positions. This, the standard way, this on the top 4 strings, and this on the lower 4 strings. I actually have a good PDF on Patreon if you are interested in some other ways of doing it that's kind of creative to get that sharp 9 flavor and being kind of more creative without a conventional fingering. Robert, welcome to the live stream. Type in the chat, you guys. I'm checking it out. I'm going to load up a PDF here in a second, or rather a sound slice. So that box shape is usually what most guitar players learn. But again, this lesson is kind of for those who have not had that traditional guitar lesson. I know a lot of people are learning on YouTube. They're like, where do I begin? Well, in the old days, the teacher would always show this. And, you learn the blues scale and the pentatonic scale. The blues scale is actually adding the flat 5. So it's actually a 6-note scale. But you start with a pentatonic and descending. And again, that's what most people would learn. Not necessarily these days on YouTube, but that's how most guitar players would learn when they would have a formal guitar lesson, is that minor pentatonic scale. Of course, when I teach guitar too, same thing. I do teach that scale, whether you're playing rock or blues or jazz. And then you also want to be able to move that scale around. So here it is on A, that same box shape. Very important to move it around. Here it is on C. Box shape. D. It doesn't matter. So it's a shape that's movable. Guitar players have it easy that we can transpose simply by moving our hand around. We don't have to think white keys and black keys like a pianist would do, different fingerings. We can use the same finger. We could transpose instantly just by shifting our hands. So we're very lucky in that sense. If you watch my recent live streams, however, I've had lessons on modes, and I've had lessons on the pentatonic scale in learning them in different positions, and that will really allow you to freely play anywhere on the neck and on the fretboard. Today I'm going to show you this hack I know many of you are wondering, what is this hack? It's using this diagonal sliding scale along with that box shape. So I know this is a long introduction, but I'm first of all wanting you to make sure that you know the box shape. Again, grab the free PDFs that are in the description there. It will take you, and there's about 5 PDFs. I just updated it minutes before this live stream. So that's the E minor pentatonic scale. Related to the E minor pentatonic is the major, the relative major, not the parallel, not E major penta, but the relative major, which is G major pentatonic. They're the same 5 notes, and that's a very, very important concept to learn. So the 5 notes of the G major, it's the same as the E minor, but it starts on G. We have G, A, B, D, E. And now this is where I'm going to show you a new fingering. Again, this is what I teach all my private students. And I know, again, a lot of people are not learning this formally as they are learning off of YouTube. So all the information is mix and match. But this is really what I feel is important stuff to know. So this is a special lesson just on this, connecting these 2 pentatonic shapes, essentially. Here's G, A, B, D, E. Then we're going to go up another octave. Just check it out. G, A, B, D, E. Another octave. G, A, B, D, E. Okay. And then we're going to descend. And then we can connect it to the box shape on the E minor on the 12th fret. So you have the whole fretboard covered from this box shape down here to the sliding scale, the diagonal G major, back to the box shape. Okay, and then you can even stay on one string. You can play it on blues. Or you can play it on swing, jazz, country, whatever. It's really great. So I'm going to load up the sound slice, check in to see who's here in the comments. Type in the comments if you're watching these. Don't forget to do this. That helps keeping these live streams happening if you are enjoying these. I appreciate it. I'm going to load up the PDF here so I can show it to you on paper, what I did here. But really, that's the heart of this little live stream today, is to make sure that you practice connecting the E minor to the G major, and then back here. So you have that freedom of soloing all over the fretboard with only 2 shapes. The box shape, that keeps you in position, and then the sliding diagonal method shape. Connected. And again, we can apply this to any progression. There's so much really fun stuff that we could do for application. I mean, we could just do a little vamp here, maybe on the E minor 9 chord, a little bossa nova style for you jazzers. We could do swing. It doesn't matter. We could do country. We could do blues. That's where, of course, understanding the application of how do I use that one pentatonic scale, over different things. We could do it in the key. We could even be in the key of G, just like let's take a really simple Beatles progression. I love this song. It's called "In My Life" by the Beatles. Let's see. You all know it. It goes like this, right? How many of you know it? Here's a progression. I'm glad you know it, Gary. Again, sliding. Shift. Again, I'm showing it to you in a pop rock situation, jazz, bossa nova, country. It doesn't matter. It's all the pentatonic scale is the most common scale, the most important scale to know and to master. So this hack here that I'm showing you, again, is connecting that box shape along with the diagonal, what I call nickname the sliding scale. Fulcrum says, can I show it on swing? Sure. Yeah. Let's take Fly Me to the Moon. Oh, I Fly Me to the Moon. I usually play it in the key of C major. So I'll show it in the key of C major, which is good for us to transpose this thing around. Again, the box shape for A minor, C major, A is relative to A minor. Okay, that's A minor. Same shape. And again, on Patreon, I have a lot of pentatonic studies. And then here it is on C, the relative. I can try to get a little bit closer for you. Actually, I might just stand up and that might help a little bit so you can kind of see. Let's do the chords first for Fly Me to the Moon in the key of C. So the first chord is the sixth chord, A minor. 1, 2, 3. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. That's all A minor. C major. Then you can go. Or here. So it kind of gives it that really bluesy, sound to it, bluesier sound. You can even get more bluesy. And now there, I was doing the parallel. I was thinking C minor against C major. So again, that's one of my favorite strategies. Again, there's a PDF that I just put for free in the description. It's on Sweet Georgia Brown, actually, but it demonstrates the scales, thinking parallel and relative. It has a little bit more stuff than I'm covering today, however. So you have to watch the lesson on that too, if you're interested in that. But from swing to blues to rock to country, it doesn't matter. The pentatonic scale is the most important scale to use and learn all over the fretboard. So practicing again, what I do recommend is that you put on a progression, you know what key you're in, and then you kind of just use the pentatonic scale to that. There's some fancier applications of the pentatonic scale. For example, in a lot of jazz stuff, you can think of superimposing pentatonics. You see C major, you're in the key of like onto the chord, but you play E minor. So again, there's some fancier things. You see F major, you play A minor. That allows you to get those extensions, the 9 and the 7 there, that are not just face value. Again, just check out my strategies on that as far as application goes. I also have a good study on using the pentatonics on Jimi Hendrix's. Well, he didn't write the song, but Hey Joe. and it's kind of playing pentatonics to each chord. That's also very kind of a Hendrixy thing. So you have a C major chord, you play the pentatonic. By the way, the sliding scale, I call it the sliding, that's my nickname, the diagonal scale. D, G major. This is kind of I love this. It's kind of Hendrixy to where you have a chord. You have a chord, then you can play the scale that goes with it. That concept to me is kind of a jazz approach where you're playing the chord changes versus like, hey, what key am I in? And then I just start soloing in that key. But you can play the changes, which is really nice. So I'll talk about this theoretically since I'm on this concept. You know, you see a C major chord, you play C major penta. Here I'm just doing one octave with that sliding scale at diagonal. But that's also A minor. So you can always bust into that box shape. You see D major, you play D major. And that's B minor. So again, you see E minor, you can think G major. A major. So again, or F sharp minor. So a couple of things that I really recommend is that you make sure that you can say the relative major and minor to each other. If I say G major, you say E minor. These are things I talk about and quiz my students on all the time. If I say F sharp minor, you say A major. If I said C sharp minor, you say E major. Let me quiz you. D minor, what major? So if I played a D minor chord, I'll put it on my loop here. I'll give you time to think about it. Let's say Nature Boy is a good song. Let's see. Let's see. Was a boy. Okay, so there was a boy. Yeah, we'll get a little bluesy on this. Just a basic progression. So D minor is also F major. And anytime you can add the mode and blue note. But I'm taking off of F. Assuming you're in tune. Here's that D minor. So, you can just jump right in and start soloing over any progression or really to any chord. If it's a static chord, just one chord, and use this technique. Again, I just demonstrated the F major, penta, D minor for Nature Boy, which is actually 1, 2, 5, 1. That's many, many songs actually, but again, it's so nice to be able to do that. Just jump right in and fly through the fretboard, have that freedom using these pentatonic scales. Go back to some basic classic rock progressions to anything and everything. Let It Be by the Beatles. So here's C. A minor, C major. So again, that's the thing. So you know what key you're in. You can play the relative minor, the box shape, or that sliding shape. It's a great connector. So I'm going to just kind of show you what I have here on Sound Slice that you can use. Well, if you're a Patreon member, you can use this. It's actually a free one for you. It's in the link is in the description if you want to grab this PDF. It's all mapped out, exactly what I'm just showing you here. I start off, and I'm going to walk you through this again for those who are just tuning in. I'm kind of just demonstrating stuff that I show and teach and really work with my students on to make sure they master their pentatonics. And even though in the previous live stream, maybe a week or two ago, I showed all 5 positions of the G major, I think that's important. But really, this is more important. 2 positions, not really positions though, 2 shapes. The box shape that everybody, I say this, but it's not true. Not everybody knows it, and that's why I'm teaching it right now. And the box shape, when you connect it here, not the blue scale, sorry, and then you connect it to the diagonal method here, that will give you that freedom to fly all over the fretboard just by connecting this box shape and this diagonal, what I nickname often as the sliding scale, pentatonic. Okay, then I show it on C here too. So then I show the E minor blues. Oh, let me also talk about fingering for a second. Add some 6s. It doesn't take a lot of notes. So I'm just kind of demonstrating again using those scale shapes. I was let it be progression there, adding in a few little blue notes too. Okay, that's kind of the strategies I'm always teaching in my soloing strategies. Is take the pentatonic as kind of the template, and then blues it up by adding the flat 5 and the flat 3, etc. So check out those PDFs. And do this on any progression. Really get mastery of that so that you feel comfortable. That's always something that you can use when you want those beautiful flavors. But again, work on phrasing. Practice a scale, but you're not just gonna run up and down the scale. That being said, let's talk about fingerings again. I do nickname this a sliding scale often here. Again, it looks like this. So I do often slide with my 3rd finger. I just use 2 fingers quite often. 1, 3, and then I slide. This is not always. I just want to say this is when I'm playing it from low to high, I often stick with this one particular fingering. And then descending. And I'm often kind of descending the way I ascend with my 3rd finger, sliding. You do those hammer-ons. Daryl, wow, welcome. C, A minor, C, D, D major, E minor, G major, F major, F major. Again, this is playing to each chord. This is a strategy. Assuming you have those pentatonic shapes down, then you learn how to apply them. And that's really the fun thing, because they can have a lot of different flavors and colors. Okay, once you learn the different various applications. So again, that's my recommendation. I'm talking about fingering. You can also even try it without sliding. That would be something like this. So I'm going like this, and then next string, and then it repeats. Don't forget, this is the whole diagonal method. You just got to work out the fingering, and then. So that works really well too if you want to, kind of play a little bit faster, perhaps. But I do like the 2-finger sliding. Hit the chord, chord, whatever chord. Minor, if you play A minor, if chord, you play C major. If you play D major, you can think B minor. This is again the importance of the relatives. So you have those options of either the major or its relative major, the relative major or the relative minor pentatonics. Again, that to me is very important. It's always that 3-fret trick. You get majors up, minors down. Majors happy, minors sad, down. So if I said G major, you go down 3 frets to E, 0. If I said D minor, you go up 3 frets to F. Okay, and we're down here. That's the little hack, the magic formula that I can use. 3 frets. Okay, I always say the 3-fret trick. The blues scale. Let's talk about this. So the pentatonic scale is what I recommend that you start with. Master that penta. Again, it's not about just playing fast licks at all. It's about just making music. And the pentatonic is such a catchy scale. We hear it all the time, melodies. But when we want to add the blue note into a minor, we add the flat 5. So it's going to be here. And then here's a 5. And oftentimes you want to hear that flat 5 to the 5. Or here. Or here. That flat 5 is often a color note that leads us we want to find that flat 5 everywhere. It's often like a grace note too. It's just, you have those bluesy inflections where you can bend into that flat 5. It's really, really sweet. So again, the E minor blues scale, I'll load up the sound slice in a second. Here's a flat 5 and here's a flat 5. So once you know that from the pentatonic scale, after learning the pentatonic first, then you add that in. So take a look at this. And again, this free PDF is in the description if you want to grab it. So this is the E minor blues right here. Hit an E7 chord. Hit an A7 chord. B7. And do the sliding scale, the diagonal. Hit an A7, B7. So right there, even I'm demonstrating how you can have 3 dominant 7th chords and play that one scale over, which is awesome. You know what I mean? You get those different colors. So that's very, very useful, very important to know that this E minor can be over E7, it could be over A7, it could be over B7. Not only that, it could be over an E minor chord. I'm talking about applications again, strategies, application. How do I use these scales now? So you have E7, A7, B7. It could be used on a E minor, of course. It could be used on A minor. It could be used on C major. Okay, so it's really useful. So many different applications. So again, here's the box position of this. Descending. Okay. And then the G majors, now it's called the G major blues scale when we start on G. And then we connected descending once we reach that beautiful, beautiful scale. So